To the broadcast, as earlier mentioned, we are getting into a different conversation altogether, that is on matters waste management, and here we are. I'll be introducing my guests in a few so that they can tell us what efforts we need to put on board to make sure that we're able to manage our waste. We have so much worries in regards to where the environment is headed. The other time I heard Daniel Wanjuki here, we were a bit, skeptical on just what we're going to attain amidst all these efforts that we've put on board. But you know what? We still remain, constantly out there to make sure that at least we're able to preserve our environment. This then would reduce us to that level where we have to discuss waste and how we are managing our waste, if not how we are throwing away our waste. I don't know whether throwing away is decomposing and getting, it's actually managing, because we realize that some of these things, yes, thank you for giving me the word disposing, but is it disposing in real sense? Because you realize the reason why we're talking about management is because it has gotten to a point where a majority of these things that we would consider as waste are things that we're not able to, get off in totality. And so it's really important we get to know that it's all right. If they're here, if it's a plastic bottle, it's something that has a lifespan of forever. What do you do to make sure that it does not end up harming you? And so that's why we are discussing this, as we get to know some of the windows that are open towards making sure that waste is well managed. And so getting us into this particular conversation is Daniel Wanjuki, as I have mentioned. He's the lead expert and CEO, Ecosave Africa. Good to have you, sir, after a very long time.
Thank you.
And we have a newbie or a new guest this time around, Brian Sagala, who's the marketing manager, Takataka Solutions. We certainly need to know what Takataka Solution does. At least we have an idea of what Ecosave does, but all the same, we'll allow Wanjuki to just loop you in if you are joining us here for the very first time, or it's the first time that you get to meet him. Daniel.
Thank you so much. The fact is that this month, first for the viewer, my name is Daniel Wanjuki, and I'm a CEO Ecosave Africa, and I'm an environmental management expert registered with NEMA. The truth is that this month has been declared the month where we do cleanup, and on the 19th of this month there is a World Cleanup Day. Some of us wait until that time when you can don a t-shirt and go down to the neighborhood and do the cleaning. But waste management should be a daily activity, something that we do every day. Every moment you are generating waste, I'm done with the paper cup, how do I dispose it? That is very important. We have to inculcate a culture of taking care of waste in a way that it does not become a problem to other people. We have established systems for waste management, but much of that is just on paper. As my colleague will admit, Kenyans don't take care of their waste, and their waste end up in our neighborhood, in our rivers, and end up in the ocean. And so cleaning up and trying to make better our waste management is what we should all focus on. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Daniel. Ryan, Takataka Solution, just what is Takataka Solutions all about? I know we'd say just as the name suggests, but is it so?
First of all, thank you for having me on the show.
Pleasure.
It's always a pleasure. Takataka Solutions is a waste management company whereby we assist in making sure we have an integrated model of handling your waste. As it stands now, we usually receive, Nairobi usually produces around 2,400 tons of waste. And of these 2,400 tons, it's estimated that only 5% of it is recycled, whereby 50% is uncollected, and the rest always lands up at a landfill in Dandora, Thika, Kangemi, those sorts of places. So what we do, we come in and provide an integrated model whereby we take the waste, we sort it, we compost it, and we recycle. Yes.
All right, amazing. Speaking of recycling, just how important is recycling in the aspect of managing waste, and how handy has it come in terms of making sure that the environment is well protected, because we realize that management of waste is all about health and the aspect of protecting the environment.
Thank you. Recycling is repurposing waste that what is called, what one person generates as waste actually could be a raw material for the next person.
Okay.
So recycling comes in as a way of repurposing or recovering resources or value in the resources that we call waste. And this has been very instrumental. We have actually coined a number of arts, all representing recycling, reuse, refuse, repurposing, all completely returning the waste back to wherever it came from.
Okay.
Then that is what Takataka solution has purpose to do. Like he says, there is a very small percentage of waste coming into that loop, into the what you call the brew economy, where we can be able to repurpose the waste, use it for generating more resources, and actually, like we say, waste is actually not supposed to be wasted. And by doing so, we actually can create a lot of wealth by repurposing or reusing the waste. What we drop at Marikiti market, our Kurima market here in Nairobi, comes from Kisii, some of the waste come from Nyandarua. It is those areas where waste from bananas and sweet potato or whatever it is has been recovered, that we are supposed to return back to the same place. Because when we pick banana cuttings and bring them to Nairobi, there is a part of that resource from Kisii land that has been shifted to Nairobi. Composting and returning the waste to actually the source where that material comes from. Don't take it to another place, just take it back to where, because that is where the source for your banana supply comes from. And so when we do composting, like my colleague does, that waste should be purposed. It should go back to where it came from. And that is how we close the loop. Yeah.
How difficult has it been for us to, just do away with waste in totality? Because, I mean, if asked, apart from the aspect of recycling, you are better off getting commodities that, are first-hand, being made for the very first time and not necessarily coming out of our recycling processes. How has it been, why has it been so difficult for us to get to such levels, such that we have acknowledged that let's go to levels of management as opposed to doing away with waste in totality?
So as it stands now, we have a method, a system where in the economy, we have a linear economy, whereby everybody just takes the waste and they throw it away. So what we are struggling with is to ensure that we come up with a circular economy. So we are trying to ensure that we tell people, you need to reduce what you're using. So that is usually the first thing. If you can reduce the use of plastics, if you can reduce the use of items that are not recyclable, the better for you. And then if you cannot reduce, we tell you to reuse, because that's the other element. Because when you reuse, it becomes easier. So for example, when you at home, when you have your gallons, when you buy your oil, you can use it to carry water, you can reuse it. That's the easier part. And then now comes the what we call the harder part, which is recycling. Now recycling has its challenges because it is cost intensive as well. So for example, we have to use equipment for us to recycle, which we have to use energy, we have to use manpower, and we also have to ensure that the waste gets to our recycling site. So you understand, if you reuse, you're reducing at home. If you reuse, you reuse at home. So all of those do not have high costs. But when it comes to recycling, now it also needs other policies. For example, if we are to recycle, the government also needs to come in and assist us and to tell us that at least you need to sort your waste, because if your waste is contaminated, then recycling becomes very hard. So you find that the challenges facing recycling is usually one, a cost element, and then there's also the ability, people are not aware. So you find that many people are not usually taking responsibility and saying that I am going to recycle. Once the waste is taken, it's done for them. Yes. All
right. Well, now that you mentioned the R's and the aspect of recycling, I'd love for us to probably understand what are these options of managing waste that are at the disposal of, just a kawaida person. It's all right, you can reuse, but to what level? You can reuse until it gets to a point where then it has to be waste officially. What are some of the other things that, as a people, we're supposed to adapt? And I mean, how successfully are we adapting to this?
Thank you. In the aspect, as an individual, one of the most important part of waste management is actually to refuse. Refuse.
Don't use.
Don't use it.
Okay.
You go to the supermarket, you bought yogurt and some cakes,
yes,
which we are going to eat in the next 5 minutes. But the supermarket wants you to buy a bag which you can use for moving from the till to your vehicle, okay, where you are going to take your lunch. If you refuse to take the plastic bag, that non-woven plastic bag that is available now, you actually manage the waste, because among the waste you have generated, you have reduced one aspect of it. The other aspect is to reduce. If you can make 2 trips from the supermarket, dash your stuff to your vehicle and offload into your boot, keep your boot very clean, car boot very clean, then you can actually drop everything there and then go back. You have actually reduced the need to use plastic packaging.
Okay.
Then you have the aspect of reusing. You have a glass bottle which you can use every other day for your drinking. This is still at individual level. Then there is reject. You completely reject packaging for your shoes. Like you bought shoes, they are very nice. You are sure you are not going to return them to the shop. That packaging, the box and some other styrofoam inside there to keep your shoes from getting wet. Reject them.
Okay.
Reject and tell the supermarket, whoever is selling to you, I will not take this, I will just take what I needed.
Okay.
Then you have before I go to recycling, is to repurpose. You can repurpose a very nice mat in your house that has lived its life to your car boot mat.
Okay.
You have repurposed it and it can be used by more people. If you cut it into small pieces and actually sell it outside your house, actually you get value out of that. You can repurpose your waste. Then there's the aspect of recycling. There's the recycling where we say we can convert plastic back to fuel. We can convert compost or garden waste back into compost that can be used by farmers. We can recycle by actually increasing the opportunities for other people to use the same resource. Like if you have you are in an estate where one garbage truck comes every weekend, you could actually repurpose some of the materials within your compound, pallet trucks to make boxes for using waste. There are so many opportunities as an individual where you can impact on waste management.
All right. Yeah. Well, Takataka Solutions is only in Nairobi?
So we actually started 10 years ago, and we've been expanding slowly. So for now, we are in the greater metropolitan area. So we'd say we are currently actually at Kiambu, Kajiado, and also Machakos. So it's more of what we now call the greater Nairobi metropolitan area. Yes. All
right. You speak of making the Nairobi city clean. That's why I asked that. Now that we have mentioned the key things that, as individuals, people are supposed to do, I would want to assume, looking at your profile and what it is the Takataka Solution does, then you get to interact with people so much so. Do you suppose then that, socially, the people have adapted to, just adapting these hours that have been set on board to make sure that they're able to manage, waste at this particular point? How well are they receiving this? How much of education, civic education for that matter, is out there at their disposal so that they would understand this? Or it's just the fear that is instilled that ukipata on a plastic bag, utalipa 4 million?
So at the moment, I wouldn't say that Kenyans are very enlightened in matters of recycling. So at the moment, as you can see, with the way we say that 50% of waste is uncollected, it means many people are just throwing waste outside the matatus, wherever they're disposing at home, they don't care. Because we say that, for example, if waste is contaminated, we can't recycle it. So you understand people don't even understand that you need to sort your waste in order for you to be able to recycle. So one of the key things Takataka Solutions is actually doing is we are very aggressive in trying to enlighten our clients. So that's one of the key things. When you come on board as a client, we try to tell you that these are the ways you can help in recycling. Because it does not just mean when you give us your waste that it is done. So you can be able to sort at home. And even when you're working with manufacturers, we usually try to tell them what kind of packaging they can have that is easily recyclable. What kind of materials that are recyclable, because not everything is recyclable. So there's an element of trying to ensure that we raise awareness, and there's an element that we try to ensure that there's partnership. Because when we approach this topic with an authoritarian view, whereby we are trying to just tell people, make sure you do this, it becomes harder to implement it. So we are trying to ensure that we form partnerships where everyone feels involved and everyone can see that in the end, in the future, we have a better world for everyone. Yes.
All right, interesting. What do we have here, Wanjuki? Because I realize that we've carried something, and I always know that every time you're coming with something, it has an interesting story. So in this case, what is the story of what we have today? I see EcoTreat waste digester. Are we talking about what waste? Solid waste or what?
Thank you, Tina. We have tackled the solid waste management, which is what my colleague is focused on. But the other part of waste management is the liquid waste management. And this liquid waste management, and like solid waste management, which is an ISO, liquid waste management is enough, has capacity to actually get us out of this world. It's actually able to make this world unlivable, because liquid waste management goes through process of fermentation. Fermentation that goes through without oxygen normally generates methane gas. And methane gas has 28 to 35 times more potential at global warming, at increasing the temperatures in the world, than carbon dioxide. Methane gas, once it's generated, whether it's at the dam site, whether it's a slaughterhouse, at pit latrines in our households, it's in the piggeries, in the kitchen coops, all that methane gas is going to the environment. No bacteria, no plant uses methane gas. And so this is where the world should be more focused on. At least we can live with the plastic ISO, but the methane gas will make it so hot for us we will not even be able to relax. We will not be able to get lean. We will not be able to get food, because food is a factor over the weather. In that aspect, my company, Ecosave Africa, came up with a product called EcoTreat Waste Digester. This is a single bacterium that we know that does not generate methane gas. We've been told that animal intestines or the stomach of a cow generates methane gas. It may not be God's planning that the cow generates methane gas. It may be accidental, just like sometimes you get worms in your stomach and you start living with that mashiringi thing. It doesn't come that your skin lesions are actually natural, God's planning. Just the same way with cattle, that there is a bacterium in the stomach of a cow that generates methane gas, may be accidental. And scientists need to look at it, at whether we should now start changing the stomach environment, the biome of the stomach, cattle stomach, so that we eliminate the methane generating gas. Bacteria, which actually is blamed for a lot of our woes in terms of global warming and climate change. That's when we came up, through our research as a company, we came up with the EcoTreat Waste Digester. And when you introduce EcoTreat, it eliminates methane gas formation. It's for that reason that the government of Kenya awarded us an award, the Ecosave innovation, which was described as the most innovative in the international category for the product EcoTreat Waste Digester. That is in 2019, and it's not been taken away from us. We still have that title. And this product here has been used in more than 20 countries. Besides Kenya, we have actually exported to other countries, including the West, that's the Americas. We have exported to Australia. We have exported to more than 10 countries within Africa. And this is the next big thing, besides the only defense to the country, to the world against global warming will be a product like this one or this product.
Where exactly will it be used is one thing that we'd love to know. How do I go about using it? At what point then is it helpful? You know, it's commercial, is it on residential purposes, and exactly what? Before you tell us that, maybe briefly before we take ourselves for that particular break, our waters. We are worried for a moment, and now that we're dealing with solid waste.
Yes, in fact, one of the key things that why we usually recycle is that you find that, for example, plastic takes over 400 years to actually disintegrate. And when this happens, when you look at, for example, our Nairobi River, you can see that it's actually just filled with plastics. And this plastics ends up in our oceans. So that is really something that is really choking our oceans and our waters. So that's why we really think that it's very important to ensure that, especially our plastics, we take care of it. So we are trying to recycle all types of plastics that we can. We are one of the, we have some of the state-of-the-art equipment in Kenya, whereby at the moment we currently have a capacity of recycling 8 tons a day of plastic. So we think that the main aim is to ensure that this plastic does not go back to the ocean, it goes back to the manufacturers.
Right.
So we work with a lot of manufacturers. Once we get the plastic, we sort it into the different fractions that are needed, and then we delabel, we clean them, we turn them into flakes and give them back as raw materials so that there's no need to even source for new raw materials. Yes.
And that's a good thing, because then our biggest worry is what happens to our aquatic animals. And true to it, the numbers have been going down by the day, all this because of the pollution of our waters. Do you suppose that there's going to be some essence of course, progress in terms of making sure that the waters are protected?
Thank you. It's true that when the plastic gets up in the river, it has a major impact downstream. Number one is that as plastic occupy those niches and crannies where fish should be laying eggs, a plastic service does not allow anchoring of even eggs. So actually you actually change the environment for the fish to actually thrive. When you go down, as the plastic goes down the river, there's this tendency of the swinging and the bashing on the basement or on the bedrock. As that material goes down, it gets shaped into smaller and smaller particles. These particles end up in the ocean. And it's unfortunate that we recover most of our salt from the ocean.
Right.
So what happens is that the plastic that, we call them microplastics, that have actually been broken down and they end up in the ocean. When we are trying to capture salt for our use, we normally allow water to flow into a lagoon, then we block the inlet and let that water to evaporate. That is plastic soup. Besides the salt aspect, it has a lot of plastics. If you look at even the environment around where mangroves grow along the coastline, there's a lot of plastic. Instead of soil, we have actually plastic. We have beads of plastic that have been rolled and broken down and shaped by the natural forces of the water moving, and they actually end up in your food. Because unlike, not everybody is content with the food salt introduced in the food, and so we have what we call the table salt. Table salt has not gone any process of removal of plastics, and so when you are actually adding plastic, it gets into your body. When the plastic gets into your body, they tend to find themselves into the body's cells, and when your kidneys encounter plastics, because plastics are only they're actually less than 50 years old, the real production of plastics. Your kidney doesn't know how to handle your plastics, and so it just says, oh, maybe Linda wanted me to use this for something else, let me keep it aside until she gives me more information. The information doesn't come until when you are 50, you actually require another kidney because you have messed your kidney. Let our people know that there is a consequence of you throwing plastic. It may not affect you directly, it may affect your grandchildren, it will affect other animals that we depend on. We're doing a study of the coastline of Kenya, and we are finding that there's a big impact on fish, mangrove, and other coral reefs that have been actually smothered by plastic. They can't get sunshine because there are beads of plastic lying on their leaves or on their surfaces, and so it really affects us. Now, coming to our contribution.
Let's take a quick break. And then we'll come back on that particular note. A quick break. What questions would you have pertaining to waste management and how important is this? Brian Sagala, Marketing Manager, Takataka Solutions, is with us this morning alongside Daniel Wanjuki, lead expert, and CEO. I don't know. I had a co-party leader in the morning. That's why this thing is in my head. So CEO Ecosave Africa, and we are discussing waste management. Before we went for break, of course, definitely looking at what we have done, globally towards making sure that yes, our waters are protected, aquatic animals are protected, and generally the environment is well protected. Well, very good on what it is that you are doing as Takataka Solutions. Are we making strides? Are we getting to places where we can say, you know what, let's keep up the fight? Or it's a fight that will just revolve around years and years and years, because it did not start the other day?
I actually think we are making some strides. We've seen quite a bit of progress. For example, you can see from the government, there was the closure of the Dandora dam site that is coming through. So we are hoping that we'll have better dam site allocations, and whereby we'll be able to recycle more.
Right.
So for example, you can also see that there are other initiatives for producers. So there's the extended producer responsibility, whereby we are finding that producers of such things as plastics and paper are being told they need to take responsibility and show how the products are being recycled and where is their waste going. And then we also have partners such as Petco and Tetra Pak, who we work with, so they're also following up on where their products is ending up. And for example, we now have recycling stations all across Nairobi in major malls, whereby you do not even have to pay to bring your waste there.
Okay.
At least you're able to bring your waste and you're sure that it's going to be recycled responsibly. Yes.
All right, great. And back to you, Daniel. There's something you wanted to tell us before we took that break.
Yeah. In the aspect of waste management, liquid waste management, we've let down our guard. Systems that were introduced in this country in 1950s by the colonial masters. We call them British standard construction standards that actually are outdated. Like the old septic tank, it's anaerobic, it generates methane gas. This is what we are eliminating from our environment, and we're actually doing a project for the curriculum development for our TVETs. These are the technical vocational training institutes, to change the training of plumbers, because plumbers are involved in disposal of wastewater in whatever building, whatever its scale. A plumber is involved in that aspect. We are changing the curriculum to allow them understand that we don't have to do what we call biodigesters, which is a small unit that is anaerobic, completely sealed, and we don't need to do the old septic tank, which has an anaerobic phase. Instead, we are proposing to doing a new system of waste management that allows recycling of wastewater, 100% recycling. You can use that water, even if you didn't need it in your house, the neighbor could use it, or if it heads in the river, it is still good water, it can support life. That is, we are taking out an anaerobic phase in waste management. We are allowing water to be recycled into the building for flushing toilets. That is, we call the white water. It's water that has been recycled. It's not from your mains. Water coming from the Kaini and the Sasumua shouldn't end up flushing toilets. It's actually supposed to be used for, you use water in your kitchen, just for potable purpose, but the recycled water should go into other sanitary facilities like flushing toilets, cleaning your campo area, even growing trees within your compound.
Yeah.
That is the future. That's what we are calling the circular economy, and that is the purpose of changing the curriculum. Yeah.
All right, Brian, you mentioned something to do with working with government, and we're always keen to understand the role of government in such crucial matters, and importantly the policies that have been set on board towards making sure that activities that other private entities are engaging in are as successful. How much do you think the government is involved, and do you suppose they can do more?
We are currently looking at, we are only recycling about 5% of the waste. So for example, as Takataka Solutions, we collect 60 tons of waste. And Nairobi is producing 2,400 and above tons of waste. So as the private sector, we really have limited capacity. So we'd really need the government to step in, because we are barely scratching the surface in regards to recycling. So with the help of the government, with them assisting us and making policies that would favor other entrants to come, that would really help. Because for example, even as we talk now, when you're recycling, we're not only helping in the environment, but we are also helping with the waste pickers. So we deal with waste pickers near dump sites. We have what we call a trading center. And we usually call in the waste pickers. We give them PPEs, we give them training, and tell them which kind of products to look for. So you'd find that they are able to pick the correct amount of plastic, they'd be able to segregate what we call the organic waste, and they're able to get a living out of it, because we actually do buy back the waste from them. So this is an area that has potential for vast employment. So if it's just handled well, it is a low-hanging fruit for the government. The government should really look at it, because not only are they helping the environment, they'll be helping the youth. Because you find that the way waste is, because it lands in landfills, it disproportionately affects the low-income areas. So if we can take care of waste, you'd find that we're also taking care of the society around such dump fields.
Okay. All right, and Wanjuki, you say you are working with a couple of countries, so to speak, and that want to assume that the moment you are working and interacting with these different countries, and also the forums that are normally held in terms of just making sure that we preserve the economy, you tend to meet different governments. In comparison to what it is that we have here and the efforts that the government has put, what is it like with the other countries? What is this one country that stands out in terms of the policies that they have set on board for you?
Thank you, Linda. It's true, I've actually interacted closely with the UNEP, that a group that does the scorecard for SDGs, number 17. It's the SD number 17. It captures what all governments are doing and what the score they can be given as a country. What is our score on SDG achievement? And I can say that we don't have very good examples, because when you go to the Americas, they still have problem with the wildfires. Some of these wildfires are actually accelerated by dump sites that were long decommissioned, but that still generate methane gas. When you go to a country like Finland, they have a better way of managing waste, but I cannot give anybody more than 80%. Any of the countries, even on the SDG scorecard. Then we work closely with UNEP on other aspects, because we supply, my company is actually a vendor to UN United Nations global markets, and we are handling UNFAO as one of our clients here in Kenya, UNFAO Somalia and UNFAO Kenya. But it does not tell us that there's someone we should look up to. Linda, we are only on 2nd of September. All of us nobody has been here before. We try to assume that Americans are the Europeans have had very good input in waste management, but they also have challenges because of their historical waste management systems, like the dam site that they used to layer soil on top. They are sources of methane gas. So if I were to score anybody, I would actually not give anybody more than 80%. But then the Kenya government has taken our initiative and it is trying to incubate it. Actually, we are through with the training and the mentorship through Kenya Climate Innovation Center. And this product here will become the national response to waste management and climate change. So we have an opportunity to impact here locally, impact on the other countries, because this should go to other countries because they don't have it. I have enumerated a number of countries that buy from us, including very VVIP countries in the world. I don't want to mention them online on the show. But this product can change. It's only that we tend to assume that kind of nothing we can come
out of the country. Interesting. We're still coming to learn some more about that product. But briefly, Brian, and earlier on, Wanjuki mentioned how we still have the old systems back then. I don't know how easy it is, especially for Nairobi, growth of population, so much activities going on, so much use of all these, plastic bottles and bags and all that. Yet we still have the very old systems. Speak of the septic tank, still the same ones that were there during the colonial times. Really, would we sit down pretty and assume that the colonialists envisioned a huge population, let's say a population of 20 million of Nairobi, and therefore we need not to worry in terms of making adjustments?
So as it stands now, I'd say Nairobi has been growing quite fast. And we usually see that turns out to be more waste. We're receiving more waste, and we see more waste even in the streets and in the dump sites. So as Daniel actually put it, we currently have not allocated any new dump sites as time has progressed. That's why you're finding like something like Dandora is filling up. It actually filled up back in 2002, and it's still getting more waste even today. So you find that yes, the old systems have been really crippling us as a society. And that's why we usually need new innovations. That's why we really insist on new innovations, whereby, for example, it doesn't need to be complicated. When you separate your waste and have organic food, you can actually do it in your back compound and make compost. It won't be industrial grade compost, but it can still assist your garden to be better. So it doesn't have to be very high-tech technology. It's just a matter of improving our systems and improving on the knowledge. So just letting people know that, yes, we have challenges. We do not have to sit down and just say and throw our hands up and say that we have challenges, that's it. We can put in simple systems, and then we can now start taking people to accountability. So for example, if you have your waste collector, where is he taking the waste? So that by the time you only work with responsible, because it's not only Takataka Solutions that recycles, but we have other players also in the industry. So just insist, where is your waste going? And then now also start taking task with the government. How are you, because you find people are trying to sort their waste at home, and then it's all going to be dumped at the same place, which doesn't make sense. So it's also now taking your government to accountability. You need to ask your MCAs and your MPs because we are heading into an election year, what are your policies on waste management? Yes.
All right. Well, great. Wanjuki, now that we have this right here, and probably it resonates with what it is that Brian speaks of, you know, just coming up with new technologies and coming up with new ways of managing waste. As we look at this product that is here, kindly tell us how it is used and how then does it manage the liquid waste to a point whereby we can now get liquid, you know, that is good enough for use again, more or less like a recycle of this.
Thank you. The technology we have employed here is that we've captured bacteria, grown bacteria to, I will start from isolation. We have isolated the bacteria we know that I am sure is safe. When I touch it like this, I can actually even see my food, I am not worried. Because the bacteria I know, safe, efficient at what it does. It breaks down fats, grease, proteins, carbohydrates, all the entire streams of waste, including soap and detergents, and converts that into carbon dioxide without going through the process of methane formation. That's very important. This product actually can fit into your feed, animal feed, can be used as a composting material. You add this, it actually reduces the period of decomposition by about 6 times. Instead of 6 months, you can do it in 1 month. You have enough compost and you can actually take it to the farm. It will break down almost everything into water and nutrients. So, like Brian will tell you, plants don't eat plants. The miwa waste will not be eaten by another plant. It can only be broken down into carbon dioxide and some few nutrients inside that sugarcane can be converted into nutrients that other plants can use. So this product does that. It also, I remember saying that it eliminates methane gas formation, which is actually a big, it should hit the headlines. It's not small. And I think that sometimes we underestimate ourselves as Africa. One of the most commercialized products in the world is the yeast used for brewing. And it is called Saccharomyces pombe. By just that last name, it tells you where it comes from. It comes from East Africa. That's why we do pombe. And every other brewery in the world uses our yeast. If you are young and you wear jeans, faded jeans, in the past we used to use lock material to scrap off your jeans, but today we got a bacteria or a bacterium that is a yeast or whatever it's a yeast from like Bulgaria in those hot water springs, and it was captured and multiplied somewhere else, and they use it for now making your jeans fade. There is no other place in the world where that is found. If I would use those examples, I'm trying to drive to a point that this might actually be what all the world needs. But of course, there's teething problems. Like I said, the government of Kenya is actually incubating this technology with a view of making it accessible nationally and internationally. I've actually supplied to the prisons department in Kenya. All of them, they've been the biggest customer. They bought 20,000 liters of this product, introduced them into their prison systems. I'm very proud that there is no methane gas generated from their prisons, toilets, and septic tanks. And so it's something that would fit in any school, any domestic setup, your home, your pit latrine, your septic tank, your biodigester, the one I call in quotes. This product will generate no methane gas during the breakdown of waste. It will give you water, clean water that you can use for recycling. You can use it for greening the environment, cleaning your carbo areas. You can flush the toilets again. And it's safe for, say, planting? It's actually a soil bacteria. We get it from the soil. There's nothing it will do in the soil that it does not do currently in a natural setup. And this, we have used it for managing waste for flats, major developments that have very small space where they can manage their waste. By using EcoTreat waste digester, we are able to clean the water and make it available to the groundwater system, because the water that has gone through this is as clean as your rainwater, and it's able to percolate in the ground, and you never need to do exhausting or digging new pit latrines or having issues with your neighbor, because it eliminates odor instantly within minutes after use. And where you use it in slaughterhouses, actually people don't believe there is a slaughterhouse in the neighborhood because there are no flies, no bad odor, and the output from that is that that can be used for growing fodder and the other crops.
All right, well, that's amazing. Before we come to a close and probably just asking for your parting shots, it's also important that then people know, if we're talking about taka solutions, how then does it come in handy to solve my solution at an individual basis? Is it commercial? What goes into this?
So for taka solutions, what we'd actually just advise our clients is to ensure that you educate yourself. You can follow us on our social media pages, you can follow us on our website, and we usually try and make sure that we educate our clients on some of the sustainable methods that you can use in recycling. And then when you're using products, try to use products that actually help you. So for example, we usually make organic compost. So with organic compost, it's not just a fertilizer. So you find many of our farmers are using chemical fertilizers. So with the organic compost that we have, it's nutritious not only for the soil, not only for the plant, but also for the soil. It helps the soil retain water more, and it also helps fight pests and weeds. So as an individual, what taka solutions will tell you is we also need to take individual responsibility.
Right.
Get to learn how you can recycle, get to learn how you can work with the proper partners, and also use only material that you know is recyclable and you know that can come back into the environment. Yes.
All right, thank you. Ecosave?
Thank you. On an individual level, I would advise that anybody who has a pit latrine would engage our services in terms of reducing the volume of waste. Number two is that you don't get bad odor coming from that area, and your tenants will not be disturbed when they visit the toilet. And that applies also to schools. We can help you reduce the bad odor that comes from your waste. We can help you reduce the number of trips you do on exhausting. Completely, you don't need to exhaust wastewater when it's treated. We have used this water for greening, like nice. You can see. This is in Kajiado, where the greenery is very rare to get that kind of environment, and it has helped in establishing better agriculture by getting that kind of wastewater available for reuse. I'm also, I would like to say that our systems of waste management have a problem in that we use chemicals that even during COVID have not been recommended for use. I will not mention the names of some of those chemicals, but they'll actually corrode your toilet's rooftop completely within 3 months or within a year or so, and you still think that it is safe for you to use those chemicals. We have been told that to beat COVID, you just require ethanol, that is to make the sanitizer, and a soap. But in our agrovets are chemicals that are completely prohibited even for use in waste management. But they are used by people who have no education on how to even mix chemicals. For example, a chemical sold in 1 liter is supposed to be mixed with 1,000 liters of water for you to make a municipal disinfectant. That is one that you would use to disinfect the whole of Nairobi if there's an outbreak of a disease, serious disease like COVID or cholera. But our caretakers, people who may not have very good chemistry background, mix 1 liter in a bucket of water and pour the whole entire content into the pit latrine or into a septic tank, completely killing all the microorganisms. And we are saying that nature actually can give us a solution for waste management. But what are you doing? We are putting chemicals that are so corrosive, they kill everything, and you are left exhausting the rest of your life. And then you claim that, oh, there are no solutions for waste management, but it's you who caused the problem. EcoTreat Waste Digester is available on if you go to social media, you get ecosaveafrica.com, you get Ecosave Africa on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, Ecosave Africa. And if you can't get any of that, just Google my name, Wanjuki, you'll find about 9 hits on what we've done on waste management. It's a scientific papers that you can read and see how to improve on waste management. And this is the way to go for the future. It should be replacing coffee or tea as an export out of this country.
Oh, okay, well, thank you so much. The journey is still on. It's not just a Kenyan issue, it cuts across the global fraternity. And we are here doing this because we are positive that we're going to get to the bottom of it, and we'll be able to protect our environment, our animals, protect ourselves, and together at least bring the world back to where it is, or it was sometimes back. It was, I'm told, the stories we hear, it was fresh, herbs and all that, and people did not need to worry much about, not being safe in the environment. But times are changing, and we acknowledge that. But the same technology that comes on board is what we should capitalize on to make this space better for all of us. So thank you so much, gentlemen. Brian Sagala, Marketing Manager, Taka Solutions. You can check them out, as he has said. And Daniel Wanjuki, the lead expert and CEO, Ecosave Africa. We're discussing waste management. Let the conversation continue. Bring us, just tell us of other options you think we can adopt to make sure that this space is a better space for us. #Morning Cafe at Linda_Lela TV47 K is how you get to interact with us. Right about now, we hit the gym for a moment. We all need to be healthy after this break.